My desk is so messy. I have not cleaned it in weeks. I am over myself. Hey y'all, welcome back to Made It to Medicine with Vix. That's me. I'm a second year medical student at UICOM Chicago, and a few of you have been asking me, how do I study? How do I go about my day? If you've been watching my videos for quite some time, you'll know that life is all about adjustments. Life as a medical student is flexibility, because depending on the block, depending on the material, the topic that you're learning, all of that can change. But starting as a second year, I will say that I've had a lot less stress, even though I'm in brain and behavior block, which is neuro and psychiatry. We haven't started there yet, but it's next week. And it's psychiatry, I don't know, people always say psychiatry. But I will say that my stress level has been greatly diminished, and I like to attribute it to being used to the chaos, the chaotic life that I am living. But in this video today, I'm going to show you step by step exactly what I do when I'm studying and how I get through all of the material and try to remember it for my weekend quiz that we take every weekend. It opens on Friday at noon and it closes Sunday at noon, and you are to do it closed book. It's just for completion, but they do still tell you what the minimum pass level is so that you can know what extra work you need to do or whether the work you're doing is sufficient enough or not. So if you haven't done so already, please hit the like button on this video, subscribe to my channel, do all of that to help to encourage me to keep making videos for you. But all right, come on, let's get started. All right, so first things first, I go into Blackboard, which is where we have all of our classes linked there. And I go to the start of the week and I look at the overview, and it shows me how many lectures are mandatory for the week, how many that we're actually going to cover, and which ones are going to be learning modules. And learning modules typically is just a video that we have to watch, and they attach a PowerPoint presentation to it, or it could be an actual module. So it's like a website that you go to where you have all of the readings that you need or videos attached. And sometimes, if we're lucky, we get questions at the end, which is great to test your knowledge to see if you were actively learning or if you were just passively reading to say, I did this lecture, I completed this lecture or not. So for this week, I am behind by an entire day because I don't know who I think I am. I was out of town this weekend celebrating my friend's birthday, so I did not study at all on Monday. And then today I'm recording this video for you, which should have been done over the weekend, but you know, we're gonna do better in the future. We're not gonna hold ourselves to our past, and we're just gonna keep moving forward. So next, I open up my Google Slides, which I complete with one of my classmates. We alternate who does the learning objectives for each lecture. And I will say that this is something new that I've been doing starting this school year. Last year, I would just kind of answer the learning objectives on the PowerPoint slides, but this is medical school. You can't answer a learning objective in one sentence. I don't know why I thought that that was adequate, but it was not. So now we have an entire Google slide presentation, and I'll write in there starting of the week what it is. So right now we're on week 6 of 9, and I'll say the days that it covers, and I'll just copy and paste every single lecture in there. I alternate who does which learning objective, and then either me or him, we will copy and paste the objectives off of Blackboard into the Google slide. And so what this does, it focuses your studying. So in lectures, which again, I don't know why it took me until maybe block 4 to figure this out. The lecturers will put in a lot more information than you actually need to know. And by actually need to know, I mean than what is going to be required of you for the exam, or what is required of you for a step, which is the highest of yield of the exam. That is the most important, so I can move on and be an M3 starting next year. So the learning objectives, they focus your studying. So what I do is I prime myself by starting the lecture by reading the learning objectives, which is also something I used to not do. I would just skip past. I'm like, who cares about this girl? You should care. So I read those learning objectives, and I'll watch the video if we have a pre-read or pre-lecture for our upcoming lecture, and then I'm taking notes on my iPad. And then before I actually attend the lecture, I go back through and I type out all of the learning objectives. I try to use as many pictures as possible, but sometimes you can't just use pictures, you need words as well. But it's important to keep it short and sweet. I am still getting used to the short and sweet part because I talk a lot, which means I can't get to the point, but I'm trying to do better. So I'm gonna show you some of these, and you'll see that's a lot of words, but then you'll see, you can definitely tell the difference of who did what slides on here, because he's real good at just using the pictures from lecture, and me on the other hand, I gotta be a little wordy. I think it's important to know your learning style, because I'm a sensing learner, which means I'm not intuitive, which he is, and he can just get things grasping it from a picture. I kind of need to know all of the details in order for the puzzle pieces to fit. So I guess, it really is what works best for you, which is what so many people tell you all of the time. But anyway, so I go into the doc, I start typing up what I believe is important based off of the learning objectives. And then when I'm watching the lecture, because 9 times out of 10, I don't physically attend lectures because commuting from home, I'm losing study time, and I'd rather just study in the privacy of my own home. I can regulate the temperature if I need to. I can make me something, get a snack, whatever it's like. I'm not disturbing anybody here, but on campus, I'm quite disturbed. It's too cold, too many people are talking. It's just so many other variables. Anyway, so then when I go back to watch the lecture, I do that on 1.5 times speed. And so I know a lot of people talk about speeding up the lectures because you can get through it quicker. Well, sometimes people just speak a little too slowly for me, and I do want to get through things quicker. But I listen to everything on 1.5 times speed. So whether that's a podcast or a lecture, it's kind of like the way that my brain processes things. But also if it's a person that automatically talks fast like I do, I probably would not be able to listen to myself on 1.5 times speed because it'll sound like gibberish. So, it's like use that depending on, the lecturer. But regardless of how slow or how fast they talk, I'm still going to pause that lecture while I'm taking notes because I cannot keep listening as I'm trying to update my objectives that I've already written out, or maybe there's something that I need to be clarified, or I wasn't listening enough and I need to rewind. So I think that's the beauty of not attending lectures in person, because I have more of that flexibility. Look at that word again. More of that flexibility for my learning style. And so after I'm updating these learning objectives, then I'll try to move on to Anki and complete some cards for the day. Like right now, since I did not do cards yesterday, I have over 800 cards to complete, and this is work from the past 2 weeks because I didn't really get serious about Anki until I think week 5, maybe week 4. And so I'm not suspending cards after I'm done with the week, which is something that I was previously doing. But if the goal is for space repetition, space learning, it's important to keep seeing the same thing over a long period of time so that once I get to the week of my exam, I'm not saying, oh crap, let me unsuspend 9 weeks of cards. That's actually a hot mess, and I for sure wouldn't get through all of them. That's when I try to prioritize, which is high yield, which is low yield. But now we're just everything is high yield because I have not seen the exam. I do not know what's on the exam, and I know that I want to pass the exam. So then I'll try to do some Anki, but if I don't get through all of my Anki, then I will definitely try to switch to some practice questions. Practice questions are the best way to assess your learning. The practice questions that I'm using currently are osmosis, but my school did buy us UWorld to study for step 1, and we just got that 6-month code last week. So I'm actually about to start using UWorld, which all of the girls have said it can be devastating. It can make you feel like you're slow. But one thing it's really gonna do is going to teach you if you use the tool properly. So with practice questions, I go through and I highlight what is in the vignette. And then before I get to the question answers, I try to think, okay, so what could the answer to this question be? And after highlighting and thinking about it, then I go through each answer choice. Okay, it's definitely not this one, it's definitely not that one. Okay, what does this one mean? And as I was watching a flip lecture earlier, I realized the questions he was asking, I'm like, this was not in the pre-reading material for me. Like, what's going on? Why do I not understand any of this information? Because it was something else that we had to look at. We had 3 pre-videos to go over and a pre-reading. I overlooked the pre-reading. And so I'm in the process of going through that now so that I can go back to the flip lecture and answer these questions. But you want to look at the questions as if, all right, they asked it this way this time. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to ask it that way the next time. So if they're asking about anencephaly now on this question, now, okay, if spina bifida is one of the answer choices, what is spina bifida? What days are the neural tubes supposed to close so that you don't get spina bifida? What is a risk factor for spina bifida? All of these things you want to answer or provide as much details, fill in all the holes or the gaps in your knowledge as you can right now, because this is really like expanding your brain, expanding the way that you're thinking, expanding the way that you're looking at the material. So yeah, I do start with filling out the learning objectives and then going to look at the pre-readings with the learning objectives, then looking at the actual lecture and make adjustments to the learning objectives, do some Anki, do some practice questions. And then that's pretty much my day as going through a lecture as a medical student in Block 6. Who knows, block 7 might be different. Shoot, week 7 might be different, because like literally, y'all, name of the game is to adapt, adjust, be flexible, do what works best for you. So I hope in this video you were able to take away something, or that you found one of these things helpful, if not all of them. But in all honesty, you really just want to get organized with the way that you're studying. There's some of my classmates who solely study off of using Anki. I don't know how they do that, because it's hodgepodge of cards just coming at me every which way. I personally can't handle that, but it works for them. There are some people who only learn via practice questions. It works for them. If you're a person that needs to be in the middle, do what's going to work for you. And the only way you know it works for you is if you try out certain things, and try not to try too many at once, maybe 1 or 2 methods, and then add on and remove as you go. But so far, so good. I did the best on my last week's quiz, and I was actually like in Anki. Saturday, I finished Anki at 2:03 in the morning, and I just couldn't believe myself, because I go to bed around like 11:30. And for 2:03, I was determined to get my cards done, to make sure if I was consistently getting something wrong, okay, let me stop, let me pause. What's going on here? Why are you getting this wrong? And how do we do this? Oh yeah, one more thing with Anki. When I stay on top of my cards, I actually try to start the day by completing Anki, so that once I add on new lectures, I can unsuspend each deck one at a time, because at my school, we have pre-made decks for each lecture. So like if I'm going over the neurocongenital diseases right now, I would unsuspend that deck after I finish going over this lecture, and make sure that I actually am getting it, or it's like another way to reinforce after I've done like the practice questions within the lecture. So like the name of the game is to see the material as much as you can, as often as possible, so that when exam day comes, it's like, team, no stress, we got this, we gonna do it, it's already done. But let me know down in the comments if you have any questions on the way that I study, my methods. If you have anything that you'd like to tell me, like, hey girl, what you said was cool and all, but I think you missed this out and you might benefit if you make this further adjustment to your study plan. I'm open for all that, because I'm trying to work smarter and not harder. But that's really all I got for y'all. If y'all haven't already, again, please like the video, subscribe to the video, turn your notifications on so you don't miss a beat, and I'll see y'all next week. Bye.